Hello, y'all. This is Prime 3285, and I just want to talk about Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen. Now, Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen came out June 24th, 2009, you know, and I really enjoyed this movie. Now, I remember before I went to go see this movie, I was hearing negative review after negative review. Like, I remember watching this channel called The Reels Channel, and they review movies. There's a bunch of critics on there to talk about movies, and they got a bunch of shows that came on there. They don't have them same shows now, but back then they do. And I remember seeing the first negative review about this movie. A critic was saying he passed on this movie, and I remember watching this show about these young teenagers was reviewing this movie, and they basically was saying that the movie wasn't all that good. It was a disappointment. Nothing was good about this movie. And then then this is when the criticism start happening. People start attacking Megan Fox. They start attacking Michael Bay, and, this is when this ocean of hatred was starting to rise. But after hearing all this negativity towards this movie, I went to see this movie with my mom. We went to a movie theater, and I was so excited. I could not wait. And I remember when we got there, I think we missed like the first half of the movie. We kind of caught the movie when Optimus and Sam was talking at the cemetery, and from that point on, we watched it, and I enjoyed the movie. I really did. I had a blast with the movie. I was hearing all these negative reviews, and then right after I seen the movie in theaters for myself, I was saying to myself, I was saying, I don't even know what the heck they talking about. This movie was a great movie. It had a lot of action. You know, the story, I love the story. I felt like they went more further with this movie, especially with the Decepticons. I felt like the plot was different from the first movie. It was about the original Decepticon, the very first Decepticon, the Fallen, who was also a Prime. I also liked the fact that in this movie they went more deeper within the Transformers lore, in my opinion. Like, they talked about the 13 Primes, they talk about the history of the Primes. Also, what I love about this movie is that this is when they introduced the combiners. They start having like the combiner technology, like the Transformers. Like, they start having they start bringing in more characters like Soundwave, which I thought was a cool addition to the movie. And then you had the RC triplets, the 3 RC motorcycles. They all had different names, but one of them was RC. And I remember seeing the beginning, Optimus fighting this huge Decepticon, and they was tracking this Decepticon down, and them showing Ironhide, and he transformed. I remember it was just so epic. And I remember watching this movie, on DVD, on bootleg. Now, while I seen this movie on bootleg, I got a chance to see it completely through from the beginning. When I went to the movies with my mom, I didn't see the complete beginning. But when I seen it on bootleg, and then when I seen it on DVD, I seen it completed, the complete movie for the first time, and I enjoyed it. I loved the movie. To this day, I'm like, all this hatred and criticism towards this movie. I felt like this movie didn't get credit. It was very underrated as a sequel, you know. But what was really cool is, like, the first movie, this movie was a monster hit. It was a success. And I remember before I went to see the movie, I was seeing all these commercials, like an Eminem commercial, a cell phone commercial. I was seeing all these commercials, you know. And that showed how popular the movie was. It was like all these commercials, contributing to the movie, which I felt was really cool. And then when I finally seen it, after hearing these negative reviews after negative reviews, I seen it for myself. I seen it with my mom, and I loved the movie. I enjoyed it. And I remember my sister got the bootleg. That's when I seen it more. I seen it completely all the way through from the beginning, and I just loved this movie. You know, I remember I watched the bootleg like crazy, like 1,000 times. And I remember I got it the day it came out on DVD, and it came out on DVD in October 20th, 2009. It came out in October, and I remember getting it that same exact day. And I remember getting it at Walmart. And at Walmart, they had two versions. They had the regular DVD, Revenge of the Fallen version, and they had the Walmart special edition, two disc edition. And I got the Walmart special edition, and it had more scenes during the forest battle. And I remember, in my opinion, this movie had one of the best action sequences of Megatron and Optimus, even better than the first movie, in my opinion. I felt like, they went more further with the way the robots fight, they move. They fought like they was like really skilled in combat, especially Optimus. Now what was messed up is Optimus did die in this movie, but, I remember a lot of people down in the movie for that, like, why did they kill Optimus off, and hearing all this hate and criticism towards that. But at least they brought him back. It wasn't like the G1 animated movie. When Optimus died, he didn't come back at all, and somebody just took his place. What I like about this movie is like the design is to bring back Optimus. Sam and them had to go on this journey to find the Matrix of leadership. They had to find this old Decepticon, Jetfire, who used to be a Decepticon. And he told them about his mission, his old mission, his actual mission. What they did is they used the piece of the Allspark, to give him energy, to give him energon so he could transform, and he was dying. He was actually falling apart, Jetfire. He was dying slowly, so they had to hurry. He was telling them where the Tomb of the Proms was, his mission, And this movie was a great movie. Like the first movie, this movie had humor, but it was also action-packed. It was just action, action, action. And this movie was very big. I felt like they went more bigger with this movie even had more robots in it, that they introduced, more characters, like Sideswipe, RC, Soundwave, Ravage. Ravage was in this movie, which was awesome. You had the Constructicons. I love at the end when the Constructicons unite, they merge. I felt like that was incredible, it was just awesome. I remember that feeling, seeing that was just incredible, and it's just amazing how they did that, how they pulled that off, and it just looks so real, it's just, they did an amazing job with this movie. This movie didn't get credit, got too much hate and criticism, and this movie is definitely one of my favorites. It's definitely, in my opinion, a great Transformers sequel to addition to the first movie, and I think they did an amazing job how they picked up after where the first movie left off, because at the end of the first movie, if you remember, Optimus pulled what was left of the Allspark out of Megatron, and in the second movie, that piece of the Allspark was in the vault, and Ravage, and the Microcon, the thing, he got that out the vault, that was in the vault, that was secured, that the NEST team, some of the NEST team members were guarding. But, this thing, Ravage took out the NEST team and they retrieved it, and they used that to bring back Megatron. So I felt like Megatron was also even more cooler in this movie. He was a triple changer, Also, this was the first movie that had a complete part of CGI. It was a complete CGI part that they did for the first time ever, with Megatron and Starscream in the fall, and it's a complete scene made of CGI. And this is when they did it for the first time in the Transformers live action movies. They show Megatron talking in the fall, and they discussing their plan, what they're gonna do with Sam Witwicky, and what they want, they plan. They wanted to, they needed his brain because he was, he touched the Allspark. They wanted him, and because he knew like a lot of the knowledge. He knew the language of the proms. The same thing was happening to him, which happened to his great great grandpa Archibald Witwicky. It happened to him. He was starting to see symbols, and he was having total meltdowns in class and stuff. And he was writing down like the Transformers language, the ancient language, the language of the proms. You know what I mean? So to me, I really enjoyed this movie. The more and more I watched it, the more and more I loved it. And that was the same thing with the first movie. The more I watched it, the more I fell in love with the movie. The more I became, just sucked in. It's just crazy. It was just incredible. This movie, in my opinion, is a classic. Which is just my opinion. I really enjoyed this movie. And I cannot wait. I remember seeing this movie, and I remember saying to myself, which one I like better, the first movie or the second movie? And it was really hard for me, because it was just like, man. And I have to say that I don't know if I like this movie more than the first movie. I have to say it's probably up there, in my opinion, in the same category, in my opinion. With the first movie and the plot. I felt like certain things with this movie, they did go further. And I just love that completely CGI part. That complete part, when they show the fallen and they show him talking, and the guy that did the voice of the fallen was the guy that played in that scary movie. You remember Candyman? The guy, Tony Todd, he did the voice of the fallen in this movie, and he did a magnificent job, making the character more believable, and he was just vicious. And in this movie, the Autobots were outnumbered. There was so many Decepticons. It was like, in Megatron, he even, he killed Optimus, so the Autobots were in trouble. Sam had to find this matrix of leadership. Now, I love how they brought the matrix of leadership into the storyline, like G1. That was another thing they got for G1. Also, they had the Constructicons. They also gave us a character that nobody really knew about. I mean, people that probably read the comic books probably knew about, but not much people knew about this character, which was the Fallen. And I felt like he was a cool addition to the plot. It wasn't just Megatron the Decepticons had to worry about, like in the first movie in the Decepticons. It was the Fallen, who he was basically the father of the Decepticons. He was the very first. He was the original Decepticon, and he was also a Prime. And he wanted the Matrix Elite